the messages that were sent by this Democrat nominee for Attorney General in Virginia are really shocking, alarming, and completely unacceptable. He was threatening to kill his opponent and his opponent's children, and that type of rhetoric has zero place in our country, and the president was absolutely right to condemn that.
President Trump calling on Democrat Jay Jones to drop out of Virginia's race for Attorney General after resurfaced texts show him joking about shooting the former Republican House Speaker Todd Gilbert and wishing death upon his children. Let's bring in Republican strategist Matt Whitlock and former White House Director of Message Planning Megan Hayes. So here's what he apparently texted the Republican state delegate Kerry Coyner a number of years ago. 3 people, 2 bullets. Gilbert, Hitler, and Pol Pot. Gilbert gets 2 bullets to the head. Spoiler, put Gilbert in the crew with the 2 worst people you know, and he receives both bullets every time. Subsequent to that, he apparently had a phone conversation with Kerry Coyner in which he hoped that Jennifer Gilbert's children would die. He said allegedly, yes, I've told you this before, only when people feel pain personally do they move on policy. How do you stay in the race, Megan?
So I never thought that I would say this on Fox about agreeing with Caroline Leavitt or Donald Trump, but he should not be in the race. I mean, people can vote for him if they want to vote for him, if he's going to stay in. It's abhorrent language. It's disgusting. He should not be in the race. It makes the Democratic Party look bad by not condemning this. It's just not something that I think that Democrats want to stand for or should be standing for, and most Democrats do not stand for. So I think there needs to be a tone change here. And I'm not from Virginia. I know that you live in Virginia. You know the electeds much more than I do. I just think that there'll be probably more people calling for him to drop out soon.
Right. Okay. So in terms of what Abigail Spanberger has said, she said the following, quote, I made clear to Jay that he must fully take responsibility for his words. What I've also made clear is that as a candidate and the next governor of our Commonwealth, I will always condemn violent language in our politics. But she didn't say get the you-know-what out of the race.
That's a whole lot of saying a lot of words to say absolutely nothing.
Yes.
And I think Jay Jones, I don't just think he should drop out of the race. I think he needs a psych evaluation because someone who wants to see their political opponent's children die has some very scary brain rot. And this has shifted from being just about Jay Jones to, as you said and as Megan said, an indictment of every Democrat who refuses to call on him to drop out. Because if you refuse to call him to drop out and refuse to even drop your endorsement, you are endorsing what he has said. And I think this is going to hound Democrats in Virginia all the way through November.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of this idea of tacitly endorsing what he said, this is what some Virginia Beach Democrats said. Jay Jones has taken responsibility, apologized, and shown he is committed to serving with integrity and accountability. Virginians deserve a leader who learns, grows, and stands for everyday people. And Jay is that leader. Here's what Governor Glenn Youngkin said this morning. Listen to this.
And this is why the Democrat Party has lost touch with where America is today when they can support someone who wants to put 2 bullets in somebody's head who's a political arrival and see his children die. The only satisfactory answer here is to step out of this race in disgrace.
So, I mean, I guess you would side with Governor Youngkin on this one.
Yeah, and I agree with what the Virginia Dems said. I just think that he shouldn't be in the race, and I don't think that I just think that he should step out of this race much before the people have to call for him to step out. I mean, that is like an honorable thing to do. What he said is he has admitted it's wrong, and I want leaders to admit that they're wrong. But this is like what you said. This is very too far. It's across the line. It is not appropriate for political rhetoric. It's disgusting, and I don't want a leader that acts like that.
Right. But the problem in the Commonwealth of Virginia is I sent in my early ballot a week ago after sitting on it for a week. There's a lot of people who've already voted for this guy.
Every day counts. And I actually think there's a chance that Abby Spanberger may call on him to drop out eventually, but every day counts. People are already voting, and she's made her position clear that she endorses Jay Jones and his horrific comments. And I think that's unacceptable. And we've seen Democrats say, we have to stick with Jay Jones for democracy. But if your version of democracy requires you to endorse an elected official who wants to kill their political opponents and watch their children die, that's not democracy. That's just pure partisanship.
I agree with you that she needs to condemn him sooner rather than later to drop out.
All right, so here's what Jay Jones has said about this. I take full responsibility for my actions, and I want to issue my deepest apology to Speaker Gilbert and his family. Reading back those words made me sick to my stomach. I'm embarrassed, ashamed, and sorry. Virginians deserve honest leaders who admit when they are wrong and own up to their mistakes. A lot of people might say he's apologizing not because he's sorry, but because he got caught.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think step out of the race, go rehabilitate yourself, and run again and see if the American people or see if Virginians want you back in office. Now is not the time. It's just not the time. He should step out. He should not make Abigail or anybody else have to continue to support him in this. It's bad for the Democratic Party across the country.
All right, we'll mark down the date, folks, because we had rare agreement on the Appreciate it. Thanks for coming.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.